Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Andrew Stott and I'm the Emperor of Stomaria. Today I want to answer the question, just what is the Empire worth? So this is a question that I get quite a lot. In terms of a monetary value, just how much is the empire as a whole worth? How much are we talking? And this is often a very difficult question to answer because it really depends on what you're talking about, in the sense that what we spend on developing and expanding Stomaria and the empire as a whole isn't going to translate into what Stomaria and the empire as a whole is actually worth. For example, if we spend £300 on buying pin badges and flags and passport covers and embroidered patches and all of these other Stomarian-related merchandise, this is going to have absolutely no monetary value to anyone outside of our own community. So even though we might spend £300 on something, it might not translate into a monetary value to the wider world. Equally, if we spend £10,000 on a new territory, a new province, a new plot of land, then that value will also fluctuate depending on forces outside of our control, in the same way that no one person, one nation, one government has any control over the market prices of the housing market. We don't have any control of what the land, the territorial holdings of the empire are actually worth. There are certain things that we can do to increase its value, but ultimately it's for forces outside of Stomaria and outside of the empire to dictate the value of these territorial holdings. With that said, if we do consider just the territorial holdings of the empire, the provinces of the empire, then we can give a figure for what the empire is worth. So if we put aside any funds that we've spent on merchandise, on advertising, or even more tangible, universally valued items like the sabers or even the silver stater bars or stater coins, things that do have a real world value, if we just put all that aside and focus entirely on the provinces, entirely on the landmass, which in fairness is going to be the majority of where that value is, then we can come up with a figure. And this is a figure that we can base off what we actually purchased the land for, the territory for. It can be based off the independent agents that value the land that we have. It can be based on market forces in terms of what the value of land and the territory around us is worth. And all of these other factors can be sort of brought together to give us an idea of what the empire is actually worth. So the empire currently consists of 3 provinces. You have Southwood, which is directly under Stomaria. You have Wayward South, which is under the Kingdom of Wayward. And you have Augusta, which is under the Republic of Vesta, with Wayward and Vesta both forming a part of the empire as member states. Now, each of these provinces consists of freehold land that the governing bodies of Stomaria, Wayward, and Vesta have authority over, and have been designated as territories of the empire. The estimated value of all 3 of these provinces is around £60,000. Now, £60,000 is more than most people will ever contribute and dedicate to the establishment of a new community, of a new society, of a new nation. And we are relatively standalone in that respect. That is to say, Stomaria, Wayward, Vesta, and perhaps a handful of other entities out there which is willing to actually put money where their mouth is, which is actually willing to push something forward that is actually going to be meaningful and generational, and is actually striving to attain something that is actually going to have an impact on the lives of the people around us. However, £60,000, from our own perspective, is just a drop in the bucket, in the sense that we have so many more aspirations. Our goals require us to acquire far more territory, and the value of these territories is only going to increase in time. I have made a video in recent times where I have discussed our plans for 2024 and more specifically 2025, when the next major round of territorial purchases is going to be taking place. And for this to happen, we do have to wait, effectively. There is a long-term plan here. And when I say long-term, I am talking, as I say, the tail end of 2025. But once that has been achieved, and if everything goes according to plan, we could have another £100,000 to £200,000 to dedicate specifically to the acquisition of additional territory, additional land, that can be utilised in order to promote Stomaria and the Empire on a wider scale. And this will include growing our own food, producing our own energy, supplying our own water. It may even be enough to start housing citizens of Stomaria or the Empire as a whole. And this is what we are striving for. This is the goal. And for us to be able to get to that point is something that we are quite determined to do. Now, the majority of the funds that are going to be used for this next round of territorial purchases is going to come largely from the imperial family, out of our own pocket. But we are hoping to collaborate more closely with the member states of the Empire in order to go through what we might call joint purchase agreements. So through tenants in commons agreements and declarations of trusts and more formal agreements which relate specifically to Stomaria and the Empire as a whole, we could potentially be cooperating with member states in a way that we haven't before, in the sense that we could have, again, land that is purchased by two governing bodies of two entities. And that is quite an exciting prospect, because that could push forward the acquisition of additional territory at a far faster pace. And this is not something that we're taking lightly. This is something that we'll only do with people that we trust for obvious reasons. And there will be various fail-safes in place to protect Stomaria's interests, as well as the member states in question. But to be able to expand Stomaria as rapidly as we want it to, we do have to think about working more closely with the member states of the Empire and effectively integrating them more into the Empire as a whole through major financial contributions in which they are directly benefiting. And this is something that we're very keen to do, because ultimately when someone joins Stomaria as a citizen, we do hope to give them value. But ultimately, when a member state is integrated into the Empire, that value is going to be far more significant, in the sense that we want to be able to elevate each member state, each nation, each community within the Empire to heights that they wouldn't be able to get to by themselves. And that is ultimately the purpose of the Empire. We are an empire of trade, of commerce and enterprise, but we are an empire that is collaborative. We want to be able to build each other up. And that is ultimately what we are aspiring to do here. So in short, at the moment, we consider the value of the Empire as a whole to be worth around £60,000. But by the tail end of 2025, we are hoping that this value is going to be somewhere in the region of £150,000 to £200,000, if not more. If you want to show your support for Stomaria or play an active role in our development and expansion, you can join as a citizen through the links below. Otherwise, please consider giving this video a like, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and we'll catch you in the next one.